a RIBA award, is this idea of the architectural profession pick somebody who they think stands for the things that they want architecture to be and to communicate to the public at that time. So to be brought into that fold at this time is an extraordinary privilege. The Royal Gold Medal recognises a body of work, but in reality the work is ongoing, it's never really finished. Jacob's Ladder was one of the first new build houses that I did. I remember visiting the house for the first time and thinking, I couldn't quite believe we'd been given such an idyllic setting for a house. Now seeing something that you made 20 years ago and seeing how it's aged in the world, it reminds you that time has also been working on you as well. Most of the buildings that I make are, in a sense, assembled from things I remember, like memories of other buildings that I've been in, fragments of spaces, materials, certain atmospheres that stay with you. And gradually, these memories gather together. You allow them to stand alongside one another and then begin asking a question. What holds these things together? Architecture is about making something physical from these ideas. And at that point, the building belongs to many people, not just the people who design it, but the people who actually build it.
There's a risk of it getting damaged.
People say, what are your favourite projects? And I think they expect me to say, oh, I like this building or that object. But I tend to look back on the projects actually as being times in your life that you spent with a certain group of people. Often it's a 3 or 5 year period in your life that you spend with a group of people who are all committed to the same idea. And in a sense, your life isn't really just a collection of objects, it's a collection of experiences and interactions. And I found that looking back now, it's those relationships with people through the project, and the project more as a thing that you perform and do rather than an artifact that you end up with is much more important to me. The first thing you have to design as an architect is to design your own practice and try and make it a community where people feel that they're dedicated to making and thinking and drawing and dreaming together. Then in a sense, the buildings, the projects, the designs naturally arise out of that situation. Architecture happens through conversations with clients or consultants and the internal team in the office.
It does mean we need a small ramp up into the shop, but I think there's space for that in the plan.
If I designed a building entirely from my own mind, it would lack what I call resistance. What I mean is a conversations which introduce different ways of seeing the world.
There's an opportunity to do something slightly different.
It's almost like a ladder of bells.
Yeah, exactly.
It's these encounters and the resistance that you have to overcome that are the paths that lead to originality.
It would be nice if there's a way that with natural light and the design of the cathedral itself that we could achieve something that nice.
In the studio, I try to create an environment where people feel it's easy to be brave, where ideas are respected and explored. If 30 people feel confident to contribute ideas, then the work becomes 30 times richer.
These are the colours of the pigments.
So burnt sienna is BS, what's SR?
Satin red.
I always love the names of colours, they're fantastic. So the main thing is you have this east-west axis, which is the organisational axis of the building, and then you have these lateral walls that move out like this, and they're the things that will have the embossed character in the model. And then the visitors who use it will sort of meander around this little labyrinth we've made between the two. Architecture is fundamentally about making things. It's piling things together, joining materials, testing ideas physically. Working physically allows thoughts to emerge that wouldn't appear otherwise. The thing about this is it's like pools coming off.
Yeah.
It's a part of us that thinks with our hands.
This is working with a different material and works with its own forces.
Yeah.
But everything is connected by the foundation.
It would almost be clearer if that came up to a pure V without that leg on it, and you had another column like that, which then bifurcates up.
Almost like a tree, basically, like a perforation as you go up to the sky.
Yeah.
Or it could be done.
Models help us to understand what it will feel like to inhabit a building in a way that digital representations can't quite capture. It's in the sense of immersing yourself in the space and feeling what it's like to be inside.
when you're designing? Like, where do you normally get your inspiration from?
When we start off in the office, often I would begin by taking some things out. It could be a section from a novel, it could be a scene from a film I've seen. And what I'm trying to do is to think, what's the brief asking for, or what's the landscape giving us? For this chapel, for example, I sat at the table and read out a Seamus Heaney poem about a vision that occurred in the medieval chapel. I wanted to feel as though in this idea that the monks in the chapel look up when they see this ship in the air. And I wanted to feel both that you're in the ship and beneath the ship at the same time. I mean, it's a curious thing to be given an award which is said to be for a lifetime's achievement when you're in the thick of your life, really, and you feel that there's much more work to do. And so you think, well, I've got this award, what do I make of it now? Because I'm still teaching and I'm still writing and I'm still making buildings. So it's an ongoing process. You know, the work goes on, the activity goes on, the office continues to hum around us, and you're back in the ordinary stuff of making buildings and teaching students every day of the week. So to me, the thing about it is that it kind of calls you out in an interesting way. It says, well, what kind of witness are you going to give? What kind of example are you going to give? How are you going to speak to the profession through the work that you're doing to try and, in a sense, live up to the invitation that the award gives you? I like the little protection pieces you put in there. It's a nice simple detail.
That's worked really well for frogs and toads.
Oh, these are great. Very good. I think there's a reciprocal relationship between the container that's built and the community that inhabits it. Over time, something changes. At first, we look at a building as an object. Slightly waxier feeling on that side. But gradually, it becomes part of our environment. Eventually, the building almost disappears. It sits below the threshold of consciousness. It becomes part of the rhythm of life.
The annals say, when the monks of Clockmacnoise were all at prayers inside the oratory, a ship appeared above them in the air.
Buildings only really become alive when people inhabit them, studying, rehearsing, thinking together. It's the life inside the building that gives it meaning.